Hi guys, welcome back. So, today is Self-Injury Awareness Day 2019 and for today I decided to make a long awaited video that has been requested for something like a year now, so almost as long as I've had this YouTube channel, and this video will be about baby cut syndrome. So what is it? What can you do to help it? Let's find out. So baby cut syndrome is a term I came up with on the 16th of January of last year, and I described it on this Instagram post. I will link it in the description, and I have been reposting it regularly since. And I decided to invent that term to talk about a very common feeling in self-harmers, and here is how I described it. I'm gonna read it to you. Feeling you're not treating yourself well enough and therefore have no valid struggles or are a bad self-harmer. This feeling can also fuel a feeling of competition and comparison between self-harmers, like a sense of pride if someone with more minor wounds is encountered, or a feeling of shame if someone with bigger wounds is encountered. So yeah, this is not an official term, this is something I came up with to describe a feeling that I felt for so long and that I know so many people have felt and are feeling right now. But it is not an official term, it is not an official diagnosis, it's not a diagnosis at all, it is just a description of how many people feel. And having words and concepts to describe feelings and convey them to others is something very important. I guess I should just explain why I called it baby cut syndrome. It's because baby cuts is a expression used quite a lot in the self-harm community to talk about small wounds or the feeling of small wounds, or saying that wounds aren't very bad or something like that. And a lot of people would post pictures of their self-harm, of their cuts or scars, and saying like just baby cuts or something like that. So if you've never felt this emotion, this feeling, this impression, it can seem very weird. And honestly, I wish I could explain to you why we feel that way, but I really can't understand why. If you have any hypotheses, please leave them in the comments. I would love to discuss it with you. The way I explain it, at least for myself, is that it is kind of how addiction works. You have this kind of voice in your head always telling you to do worse and to keep on going, and that maybe next time it will be enough, and that next cut will be big enough so you will feel satisfied. I think this is something that a lot of people with addictions struggle with. The fact that they always feel like they have to do more, and that they need to go further in the mechanism of addiction. And I think that is really something that is strong into the mechanisms of this baby cut syndrome. But yeah, a lot of self-harmers feel in competition to hurt themselves even more. They can feel in competition with themselves, they can feel in competition with others, they can feel very bad if they feel like they didn't hurt themselves well enough. This is why sometimes looking at other people's scars can be very triggering, because it can quickly put you in that mindset of, oh shit, they have way worse scars than me, and like fueling this feeling of competition, and that can lead to bad outcomes. So if I talk a bit more about my own experience, I'd say that what's been the biggest component of my feelings were the feeling of competition with others. And I can remember just spending hours and hours comparing my scars to other people's scars, saying, oh well, they have this amount of scars but they are big, but mine are long, so are mine worse or are they worse? And just now that I say it, it sounds just insane, but really I've spent hours doing that. And even the other day I watched a video of someone and they were showing their self-harm scars, and the first thing I did was look at mine and see which ones were worse, mine or theirs. And when I saw that theirs were slightly worse, I felt super bad, and I felt like I was a failure. And I'm 5 years into recovery and I haven't self-harmed in a very long time. And this feeling is still there. I still have days when I will see someone, I don't know, on Instagram or even in real life and think, oh shit, their scars are so big, I really should have had bigger scars. Because yeah, it just fuels back into my addiction mechanism and makes the voice go bigger, and yeah, it stills kind of triggering, not to the point that I would relapse or anything like that, but it still triggers that mechanism in my brain of, oh shit, I have smaller scars and that's not okay. And let's be honest here, I also feel the opposite way. So sometimes when I will see someone with smaller scars than me, I will feel kind of superior. And that's so fucked up to say, and I can't believe I'm saying this out loud and saying this on the internet. But that's true, and I want to be honest with you guys, that sometimes when I see smaller scars, I feel like I'm kind of superior to them. And that's so fucked up, and yeah. That doesn't happen every time, so if for some reason, if you've shown me your scars and they were small or anything like that, or smaller than mine, I haven't judged you, don't worry. It is really like an internal voice. I'm not thinking that, I don't know, you're a baby or something like that. I just want to acknowledge how I feel about that, and by showing people that I feel like that, I really hope that some people will also come forward and say, yes, I feel like that too, and that's the first step of recovery. So now I just wanted to give you my 2 cents on advice to people suffering from this. So I have 3 pieces of advice for people suffering from baby cut syndrome. My first piece of advice, if this feeling is very strong for you right now, is to not put yourself in triggering situations. So don't go look at pictures of scars on the internet, don't go look at pictures of cuts, don't go just seeking these kinds of content. This is a way of not exacerbating it and just making it bigger. So if this is too much for you right now, don't go seek it. My second advice is, please know that it will never feel like it's enough. The person you're comparing yourself to, they're still feeling the same way you do. They're still feeling like their self-harm is not big enough and that their struggles are still not valid and that they still need to go further down this rabbit hole. So this is just a component of addiction. It will never feel like it's enough, so might as well stop now. You always feel, well, maybe if I had this bigger cuts, I would feel okay. Or maybe if I had, I don't know, this amount of cuts, I would feel okay. Or if I had cuts in these places, I would feel okay. No, you wouldn't. You would still feel the same way and still feel this competition, still feel like you're not struggling enough. It will not solve this situation. And my third piece of advice is, please try to remind yourself that self-harm is self-harm, and no matter the severity of it, the fact that you are hurting your body to deal with some emotional issues is serious, full stop, that's all. I don't care if you're chopping your arm off with an axe or if you're scratching yourself with your pinky nail. I don't care. It's still self-harm, and it is still as bad, it is still as valid, it still needs as much medical attention, all of it. Please really try to remind yourself of that. I also wanted to talk a bit about people around those who are feeling this baby cut syndrome or are dealing with self-harmers, either professionally or maybe someone they're close to, a relative, anything like that. I just wanted to give you a few pieces of advice from someone who's been through it. Try to avoid any phrases and statements that could feed into this competitive side of things. If someone, for example, has a relapse and you say, oh well, it's not as bad as last time, we know you mean well, we know you probably mean to say it's good, you're making progress, but the person is probably feeling very invalidated and feeling a sense of competition with themselves. So please avoid doing that. Also avoid comparing their injuries to other people's injuries. Don't say that they have it worse or that they have it better. Don't say like, oh, I know this girl and she has so many scars. Or even the opposite. I know this girl, but oh my god, you have so much more scars than her. None of it will be good, and it will all fuel this internal competition and this inner voice. Basically, try not to comment too much on the severity of the self-harm, either from one time to the other in the same person or between persons. This is something that can be hard to do, and especially if you have never felt that way, I can understand that it can be quite hard to put in place in your own language, but that is probably something that would help them quite a lot. Don't compare them with themselves, nor with others. So that's it for today. I really hope this video was clear enough. Today is also the 1-year anniversary of this channel. That's also why I really wanted to make this video. I quickly want to thank you guys so much for spending all this year with me. I learned so much through doing these videos. I love doing them. I wanted to thank you so much for being here and watching them, because there are so many videos on YouTube that you could watch instead, but you chose to watch mine. And I really appreciate that, so thank you. So yeah, that's it for today. Happy Self-Injury Awareness Day. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're keeping yourself safe. If you need help, please reach out. If you want to chat with me, you can hit me up on Instagram. Link is in the description. As always, I answer every DM I get on there. And until next week, I will see you soon. Bye guys.